Let me start by saying I don't expect you to remember everything I'm about to say. He is recording it. This is more of a maintenance type of deal. This is our dimmer rack. This controls all of our power to our fixtures.
Okay.
So the most important thing, it does need cleaned. We recommend twice a year. It does have an air filter right here.
So what do you take it out and blow it off, or wash it off, or what?
Blowing it off works best. You can use shop vac, whatever.
But do you need to take it out of there to do that, or can you do it right where it's at?
You can do it right where it's at, or you can take it out, but it's a little tricky. You kind of have to bend the sides.
Okay.
So these down the side are circuit breakers, just like you have at home. If for any reason you were to trip one of them, that one gets it on right now. Can reset there.
Are those the master breakers for those lights, for those circuits? I mean, they're not on another circuit. Is that correct?
They are not on another circuit. This box is on its own master circuit, and the electricians can tell you. I know where it is, but I don't know what the panel name is.
Okay.
So if we look down here, this is our processor. This will display any errors if anything comes up. This is a good place to start looking. Right now it's yelling at us because we don't have an Ethernet connection. You do not have an Ethernet connection, so you just have to ignore that one.
Okay.
What would be the advantage or disadvantage of having the internet connection?
That would be if you were running off a network system.
Okay.
So right now everything is hardline DMX. If you had a bigger console or you wanted to control from different areas in the space, you could use a network protocol, but we're just not. And that it does give us a little bar readout. It's trying to tell us what it thinks it's doing here. You'll notice that that should match here along the side. These little LEDs tell us when it's getting signal it thinks it's turning on. There are two different types of modules that we have in here. It's important that we don't mix them up. These here are marked R20. That stands for relay. They're relays at 20 amps. These here are ELVs. Those are electronic low voltage. They're reverse phase dimmers. And if it detects an issue on the line, this LED will light up with a fault.
So if we do get a fault, then what's the next step for that? Breaker it off?
Breaker it off. See if you can find an obvious issue. Sometimes if you have a power surge or something, just clearing it will clear the error. If you really can't get it fixed, call me.
Okay. You happen to have a sticker of your card that we can stick inside that box?
I do have a card that I can put inside this box, yes.
That'd be good to have an extra one in there.
And this is the lovely manual we will be leaving with you today if you ever feel like messing around with it.
You really don't have to open the box to see the LED lights too, I see.
Correct.
Can you tell me what each pot is for, or each lever is for, what each one does?
Sure. So these four are master faders.
Master faders, upper right-hand corner, okay?
Yep. And for the most part, they're not really going to do very much for us. This guy will affect when we do submasters.
And that's the second one over from the...
Yes.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
And this guy will affect our bump buttons when we're in that mode. This guy would affect us if we used cues, which I'm not sure if we'll program in or not. And this is a crossfader for our cue. This is actually not a master. This is just a crossfader.
Okay. So you fade between the masters or between something else on the board?
Between two cues.
Okay.
So the rest of these control individual channels that we assign lights to.
Okay.
So these 10 along the bottom are the LED Fresnels.
Okay, that are along the outside of the box.
Yep.
Okay.
Around the outside. These first two are our power for our lights. So right now, number 2 is actually not doing anything. But they're planning on tying it in later.
Okay.
Number 1 is controlling the circuits that the LED Fresnels plug into.
Okay.
And and the drivers for the LEDs in the middle.
So the number one is actually a master for the whole bottom row, in a sense.
It's not a master in that you can dim up and down. It just controls the relays that power everything.
So if you need to cut them off real quick, you can just hit that and it takes them all down.
Correct.
Okay.
But when you bring it back up, it's going to take them a minute to boot up again
Okay.
before you start. So we pretty much always want those to be on.
And the bottom ones that has each one, that controls the fade, is that correct?
Correct. So
The intensity of the light.
if we look right there behind you, this one is controlling the fade in and out of that light.
Okay. Now, when you do the fades, does it at all change the color temperature?
It's not supposed to.
Okay.
So the other ones that we have up here, right now 6, 9, and 10 are not doing anything. But
Okay.
again, they are planning on putting things onto them. 3 and 4 are controlling the box LEDs in the middle.
So all the slender lights in the middle. Oh, that's controlling the box lights in the underneath the diffuser box.
Correct. Number 7 is actually controlling the box light.
Okay.
And number 5 is controlling that light over there.
Okay. Now, will number 5 also control the other 2 lights when they come in?
Once they come in.
So will they all dim at the same? Whatever you dim one, they all will dim, or can you? Because sometimes you're going to want the lighting a little different. You want the back a little brighter than what you might on the face or something.
Is that when they add those lights, are they adding it to one of these circuits that don't have something on it right now?
See, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just saying, is the way that's set up, you want the light, you want to basically probably control the background, and you want to control the light up here, because you might have a person that you need more or less light on, and if you do everything, you may not get that depth of field.
The answer is it depends on what circuit they tie it to.
Okay.
If they tie it to 5, they're all together. If they tie it to 6, which is available right now,
they're all together.
Then it would be separate.
Okay, good. That would be good if that was done. Okay.
We can certainly talk to them about that. So that's the basic controls up here.
Okay.
Just some other really standard things. This is the power button
For the board.
for the entire board. Yep.
Okay.
So if I push and hold that long enough, it's going to take a minute. It's going to ask me if I do want to shut down or not. If I
Okay.
hit proceed, then it shuts down.
And that's on the screen.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you leave it plugged in, it's going to take it a lot less time to boot up. If you unplug it, it'll take it a minute when it does. So now it's off, it's hibernating. So if I hit the blue button, it'll
Okay. All right.
pretty simple along the back. This is our data cable.
Okay, the data cable. Okay.
So this pretty much always goes into that wall over there.
Okay. The plug that's on the wall next to electric. Okay.
Yep. And then this is a USB port.
Okay.
We can save our programming. So if we ever were to lose something or to mess something up, we can reload from there.
Okay. What would be an instance that you would lose what you loaded in?
Usually it's some kids get in here and mess everything up.
Okay.
But usually it's in a high school.
Okay.
So for you, I'm not sure what that would be.
Okay. So if for whatever reason that board is disconnected, for whatever reason, how long can it sit before you plug it back in and it takes back up, or that everything has to be reset?
If you completely unplug power,
Yes.
it will save what's in here infinitely.
Okay, good.
I mean, years.
All right. What's the other buttons on the below the screen do?
So these are soft keys. They change based on what screen we're actually looking at.
Okay.
So this is the home key. This brings us to the menu that we're looking at now.
Okay.
This is the color key. When we're looking at these, you can hit, this is a touch screen,
Yeah.
you can hit the individual buttons, or you can hit the buttons below them.
Okay.
It's your choice. Color doesn't affect you right now because you don't have any lights that use it.
Right.
These buttons deal with cues.
Now, actually, just so they know, just explain a cue to us. I know you have the master cue up there, so tell me about a cue.
Right. So a cue is a scene that we have saved that we can recall later.
So it's a preset.
Yes.
A cue is a preset, okay.
So we have cue stacks that are a list of presets that we cycle through.
Okay.
So we can record cues. We don't have any right now. But if I go to the cue list button, this would have a list of the different cues that we have set up. And then this button is our go button. This would cycle through the different cues.
Okay.
This would go backwards, and this would stop in the middle of a fade.
Okay.
If for some reason you went too fast or something.
Okay. So I tell you what, show me how you can, just for sample purposes, do a cue. Make a cue up of anything. It could be anything, whatever.
So if I've got these 6 lights, what did I miss? No. So if I've got these 5 lights and I want to make this a cue, the way that I do that is with my record button.
Okay.
So if I hit record, it's going to ask me what I want to record.
Okay.
And so the first option here is cue. So
Okay.
I'm going to say I want to record a cue. It's automatically going to put all this information in here for me
The way you have it set on the board?
by default.
Okay.
So right now it's telling me it wants to put it in cue number 1. These numbers here are the fade times.
Okay.
How long it takes to come in, how long it takes to come out. If you put a wait in it, when you hit go on that cue, it will wait that long, and then it will automatically go into the next cue. You can edit any of these things up here. If you hit down here, it doesn't do anything. But if I hit up here, say I wanted to make this cue 3, I can hit that button, enter, and that changes. Before it saves, though, I do have to hit store down here in the bottom right.
Okay, we're going to go through setting up a cue. So, so basically, you set these lights here up first?
Right. So I've set
These are what we want in a queue. The ones that are down or the ones that are up?
either one. Right now, the ones that are up are on. The ones that are down are off.
Right.
So we're just setting a look that we want to save. So, you know, if I wanted those lights to be on, that's 50%, etc.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make a queue. So basically, right now, this is going to be a queue set up the way we have. With these 4 up, that halfway, and these off. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's go ahead and set, let's say we want that Q1. So how do we set that up?
Sure. So we hit our record button over here on the left-hand side.
Okay, let me zoom in a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and do that again, please.
So it's this one right here, above setup.
Okay.
It's going to ask us what we want to record.
Okay.
And the first option is a Q.
Okay.
So I will hit Q. It's going to default to Q4 because I've already put Q3 in there.
Okay.
So if I want to change that to 1, I hit the Q button up here. And I make that 1. Enter. It's going to ask me if I want to store this or not in the bottom right. So if I hit store, now that Q is saved in Q1.
Okay.
So if I were to bring all of these things down, and it would affect these things as well, actually. And I were to go. If I go to my queue list, and I go into that queue, it should come up. I'm not sure.
So the lighting should come up, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it's not right now.
And the only reason we brought all this stuff down was because that you wanted to have the queue take up and automatically set this up, right?
Correct.
Will it,
What am I doing? Okay. For whatever reason, I was still holding them down.
okay, we're going to restart over on setting up a queue.
Okay, so one more time. So if we set a look that we want, we can hit the record button here.
Okay?
We hit Q.
Okay?
We're going to tell it what number we want it to be. By default, it's 4 right now. I'm going to make that Q2. And then we hit store.
Okay.
So now we can go to our cue list here and look at our cues if we want, or they're displayed in the upper right-hand corner. If we hit our go button, it's going to take us to the next cue.
Okay.
Or we can use this crossfader. As you can see, when I go down, it's going to go into Q1. And as I go back up, it's going to fade into Q2.
How do you set up the crossfade between A and B?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Basically, you have, I'm just saying, normally like A, B, I guess what I'm saying, between whatever you have, like 1 is A and 4 is B, how do you preset them up here that which ones you want to switch between?
So you can only go forward with this.
Okay.
And you can't split. On a traditional crossfader, you have the 2 fades that you can do at different times.
Right.
You can't split that here. By default, inherently they're together.
So I could go between 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, but not like 1 and 4.
Correct.
Okay.
Again, this is our back button, so this will take us backwards. If we go one way and we hit the pause button, it will pause in the middle. It will ask us what we want to do. If we hit either of these buttons, it will then go forward.
What executes the cue?
Either the go button or the crossfader sends a cue forward.
Now, this button here, that handles the cue, but what does that do on the cue?
This is the master fader for our cue list. So if we bring this down, you'll notice the light starts to dim because I'm limiting what the cue is outputting right now.
Now, does that only limit the lighting in that particular cube, or that's it, right?
That limits the lighting of all cues, so whatever cue is active.
Okay. Great. So now we went ahead and set up that particular number. Okay. So if I remember correctly, whatever cube we want to have, I'm just saying, I have no idea. Let's say I want that as a cube, right?
Sure.
Okay, so cube. So I got that. And I'm going to go to, what is it, cue record list?
Yep.
So I hit record list, and I want to do a cue.
Yep.
And then I just need to see which one it is, but it automatically defaults to the one that's not being used.
Correct. It defaults to the next number in the system.
So now I'm going to hit store, so that stores it.
Yep.
So now cue number 4 is this.
Correct.
Whatever that is to do. Okay.
Yes.
So now if I want to dissolve between, let's say, there's not a 5, can I still dissolve?
So if you go forward right now, it will go into Q1.
Okay. So if I dissolve between these, that should go to 1, right?
Correct.
And that's back to, now it's a 2.
Correct.
So it just keeps rotating that way.
Correct.
Okay. So let's say I want to go back to 4. So do I just click 4, or do I hit cue list? I hit cue list.
So in order to go to 4, I do not know, you cannot click anymore.
I mean, I picked a freaky one if that's 4's doing all that.
Somehow the electricians are playing with the lights over our heads.
EJ, how you doing today?
Good.
Good.
Those are your calls.
Now, what does that screen you were just in do?
This is not the screen you're looking for.
Okay.
These are more advanced commands that rarely are used. Again, this is the color command. This quick select, what it does, if I was to go with that one, it would select everything that it thought was on the right side.
I see. Okay. So we don't need that.
Correct. That's the cue list. The playback toy, we'll talk about playbacks later. The keypad is if you really, really want to punch in numbers like a traditional ETC console. Most people prefer to just hit the buttons.
Would that be for a brightness level that you took those for? If you want a certain percentage brightness?
Yes.
No, it's always plus rate.
You could type in if you wanted. So if I go here.
$150.
So if I select channel 10 and I put it at 66,
You didn't. I gave it to you.
that theoretically puts that exact level into that channel.
Okay. Even if the lever's not up?
Correct.
Okay.
working on 11 and 4 right
And
now.
effects are
Yeah.
traditional theater effects, lighting,
Okay.
that sort of thing. So who normally uses the console?
I'd say we all will be.
Everybody?
Our goal is, I'm John, by the way.
Hi, John. Ahead.
Our goal is to pre-program 9 scenes,
Yep.
unplug the console, put it in its box, and store it in that room.
Okay.
We hope to simplify this as much as possible.
Okay. Do we want to talk about that station over there real quick while we're thinking about
Anything you
it?
wanna do.
Sure. Let's talk about that.
And it ain't perfect, but this in the core is going to be in the back room. It'll plug into that jack, and you'll be able to control it. The idea is that everybody's smart enough to find 9 preset scenes that work perfectly fine, so everybody don't have to really screw with that.
Does anybody have a paper clip or a really thin pencil or anything like that?
But the
It's
piece of
just a-
wire. Too thick? Yeah, looking at that. Got it?
Yep.
What did you just do?
So there's a little button right there. That's how you record. So this is our 10-button cleaner preset station. Obviously 9 presets in on. The way that this works, when the console is on and plugged in, you'll see that the light is red. That means that it's in record mode. When the board is on, the board automatically controls everything. This doesn't do anything in that case. So if we were to unplug the console, you'll see that it automatically goes to the last scene that was pushed. Excuse me. So if we wanted to record a look, we would set our look on our console, and there's a little button here right next to this red one. We stick a little paper clip or whatever in there. It's blinking at us. It's asking us where we want to record to. So we hit the button that we want to record, and now it's saved into that button. So now, if I turn off my console, it automatically goes there because we just recorded it. And we can switch between the different presets just by pushing the button. Any questions?
You just can't fade and things like that through that.
Correct. There is a default fade time in there. I believe it's 3 seconds.
Okay.
If you really wanted to, there is a second button down here. It's a little yellow button.
When you say a default fade time, it's actually controlling, making it a soft start, if you will, for the drivers?
So I'm in number 1 right now. If I go to number 6, it's how long it takes to go between the 2 levels.
Gotcha.
So I think
About 3
it
seconds.
takes about 3 seconds to fade from 1 to 6, for example. If you want to get into it, I highly recommend you have the manual out when you do it. There is a second button here next to the yellow LED. When I'm in a preset, I can hit the little yellow button, and now it's asking me what fade time I want it to be, and there's a code that you have to kind of have the manual for to
Okay.
know. And I think each one is its numerical value. You can see it times out after a certain amount of time. That would
Yeah,
definitely be something.
I don't really know where we've been using a fade too much
No,
on
3
anything.
seconds is fine.
That's fine.
Sure. One other thing to remember when you're doing this, although you'll probably do it by default anyway, off is a true everything off. So normally when we're controlling these lights, we want to have our relays on so that the light has power and then we're controlling it with signal. So whenever you record a preset here, even if the lights are off, you're going to want to make sure that those relays are on so that when you go between different looks, you don't have to wait for the lights to catch up because the relay's turned on. If you're coming out of off and going straight into a look, then there's going to be a little bit of a delay because those lights are going to have to take a second to boot up.
Are you thinking a 10-second delay, or are you thinking 3 minutes? 60
Definitely
seconds?
not 3 minutes.
Okay.
Closer to 10, probably a little less than 10. You can
Less than 10 minutes or 10
You can
seconds?
do it.
Less than 10
What do you want to do?
Pardon?
We're not bothering them, they're just hanging two new lights.
Well, let's take a look. So if I went to off right now, these are temp on it.
So that's official, fully
These are
off.
not on the system. They won't
Correct.
be on
They,
the system.
correct. Yes. So if I now went to number 1, actually
That's not
caught
no
up pretty
big deal.
so you can see right now that the Fresnels are kind of heating up back there. That one just turned on.
Okay.
So however long that was, 5 to 10 is a good estimate.
So let me ask a question. So we're probably maxed out on our circuits here.
Just about.
We have one, we're hanging two lights that need to be switched separately.
Correct. We were talking about that earlier.
I was also thought that maybe the DMX really don't need to be tied into the dimming panel. Is that correct statement?
If the DMX was on its own, just hot circuit all the time, that would be acceptable, yes. Because really,
Because we have two circuits for that, right? So realistically, we could free up two circuits.
yes, if you just put them in a breaker panel or
And if
something.
they were hot all the time, this controller and the preset would work and turn them completely off when they don't want them on.
That is correct.
But they would need to be adjustable.
They'll be adjustable through the system because see the cables in the back?
Yeah.
They have an adjustable DMX cable.
Okay.
Running from every fixture, daisy chained, and then back to the control box. So you're talking to it via a whole system separate cabling. All the other power of the lights have a 0 to 10 volt leads coming out of them, and you have to tell it what to do through the dimming panel. With this has its built-in capabilities of dimming, changing colors, etc. So you wouldn't need to tie them through the system is what I thought. And we may have to do that.
That would work. My only question would be just to make sure that it's okay that the lights are not turned on, like powered on all the time. They may be. I would just want to double check that before.
You'd have to tell me that.
I would have to check with the manufacturer.
Who was it here the first time?
Adam,
No, I don't think Adam is here. There's another gentleman.
Trevor.
Trevor. He is the one that brought it to my attention.
Okay.
Because he's like, these are not in the system, right? I said, well, I think we calculated them in the system, but we are adding here as time goes. And
It's certainly doable.
okay.
It's just a question of, do they need to be somehow switched off at some point?
Right.
Or
Because if
can
you
they
wire
just
them
go
hot,
all the time?
it won't even be in that box at all.
Correct.
They'll be on its own breaker, which we have.
Right, the data will be coming out of there, but no power. Correct.
So if you can let me know that, that would be awesome.
Sure. Sure.
Because do we have enough for these two additional lights right now? Or we're one
I
short?
believe you have enough.
We have one right now, right?
Well, because they told me they thought they had one for it already and they were taking it out. I would really have to double check with them without all the circuits
All right,
landed
go ahead.
right now.
Go ahead.
I'm not totally sure where everything is going.
I just brought that up with him here in case that happened. You guys will realize that those things are just powered on and off and not part of the system.
How long does it have to record, I guess?
How long does it take it to record?
Yeah.
Just a second.
Just a second,
Just
so-
as soon as you push the button.
On then it records and then y'all don't have to do anything else?
Nope.
It cuts off by itself or whatever?
Yep.
Stops recording by itself?
Yep.
And then that's where the setting would be for that light?
Yep.
What I understand those as is, correct me unless I'm wrong, cues. So whatever you preset it at or whatever, that's considered a cue.
Cue.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Oops.
So if you want 5 lights on, 5 lights off, and that's how you want it for something, then that's a cue.
And it'll be Q, whatever?
1, 2, 3, whatever you preset selected to do, and then
But that would be in the back, but we'll have to cue it on that, right? Is that what you're saying?
basically, this board here, we pre-set up anything and everything the way we want it.
Okay.
Okay? And then so nobody comes in here and monkeys with our settings to it, we're going to disconnect this so nobody can't screw up our cues.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but if we,
Play with the board every day.
Exactly. But if we have some unique going on where we don't have some preset, we can bring the board back out and create a new preset or whatever.
Okay.
Am I correct?
Yes. No, totally correct. Yes, yes, yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So we run through all the different what does what again with them?
Sure. We'll start from the beginning, all right? So, this is our lighting console. First thing that we normally show you, this is the power button. So if you push and hold on that, and it's going to try to go to something else first, so you're going to have to give it a minute. It's going to ask you if you actually want to shut down. If you hit proceed, it's going to turn off. Anytime that you see buttons along the bottom here, this is a touch screen. You can either hit right there, or you can hit the button below it. They'll do the same thing. Once you have it off to turn the board on again, you just click that button and it'll go.
Question for you on the
Yes.
power. Does this override if the little remote panel?
This will always override the wall setting.
Okay.
As long as it's plugged in. As soon as that wall panel sees any DMX signal, it automatically shuts itself off.
Now, if the lights and everything's already on and you plug this in, does this automatically come on or you still have to manually turn it on?
You will still have to turn it on, but as soon as you turn it on and it starts sending signal, it's going to take over.
Okay.
So we're going to go back. I consider this our home screen. It's in the bottom left right there, the grid button.
Okay.
And we've tried to lay things out for you pretty evenly here. Just a second, if we look along the back of the console here. So this is our data out. So this pretty much always plugs into there. That's
Okay.
in the spot for it. And this is our power cord. We do have a USB port here. We can save our shows. So if we ever lose our configurations or anything like that, we can reload. I will be taking a copy of your show with me today, so we'll have a copy on our servers in case anything ever goes wrong. That being said, we have 4 faders up here. We often consider these to be master faders. So we don't have anything written into these yet, but like this one controls cues.
Okay.
So if I have this down, anything that's in a queue can't be higher than that level. So if this is here, nothing in a queue can go higher than 50%.
Okay.
So normally, we just always want these to be up.
All right. Because whatever I cue and then it's down there, it's not going to give me the full what I
Correct.
did. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. This is our cross fader. We can see our cues in the upper right-hand corner. So right now we're in Q2. We're about to go into Q3. So if I move this cross fader, it's going to fade me into Q3.
So that's the last one is the crossfader?
Correct.
For the cues.
For the cue.
For the cue crossfader. And it will always go up and never backwards.
Okay.
While we're talking about cues, these 4 buttons on the bottom right now also relate to cues. So this is the go button. This does the same thing as the crossfader, but it does it in the default time. So if I hit go right now, it's going to go back into Q1 in the time that we programmed into it. This is the back button. So this will take me to the queue behind me. So I'm in Q4 right now. If I hit it again, I'll go into Q3. This is the pause button. So if I hit go and I hit the pause button, it will stop wherever I am in the fade between the cues.
Okay, that's the pause. This the cue?
Correct. This is back.
That's
this
back.
Is go.
Okay, go
Yeah.
back.
So with the pause, can you technically have 2 cues up at once if you have the crossfader going?
You could be between 2 cues at once.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
And this button just takes us to the queue list. It takes us out of the home screen, so we can see where our queues are here. So it automatically repeats. We only have 4 queues right now. So if I hit this, we're in Q1. That's the whole list at the moment. To set a queue, we set a look that we want. So let's say I wanted to add those guys in. I have a record button here. If I hit that record button, it's going to ask me what I want to record. So if I hit Q, it's going to let me record a cue. By default, it will record the next cue in the sequence. So right now it's recording cue 5 because we were up to 4.
Okay.
And these are our fade times. So this is how fast it fades in, how fast it fades out. So if I want to change any of that, I have to hit up here. So I could change the cue number. I could make this cue 6 or something if I wanted to. Hitting down here does nothing. So you have to hit up here. And sorry I did that. Normally it's going to ask me if I want to store the cue or cancel it. So I would hit store to keep this.
Okay.
I'm going to cancel it because I already made that cue.
And it'll be stored in 5, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, if you run out of cues and you say, well, I don't need another one before, do you go into an edit mode or do you just automatically go over and overwrite it?
So if I go into the cue list, you can override them if you want to.
So let's say I don't need 2 anymore and I just want to set something else for number 2 up.
Right now, you want me to put it here, or it don't matter? All right. As long as it comes in.
That's right. Remind me about this. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
If we pay them, he'd recommend paying us that none, but if we pay them towards the
I can never remember where this is. 86. There's times. Alright, found it. So if I go into the record edit button,
Record edit button, okay.
which is how we got recorded our cues before. Sorry. I have the option to edit cue list here.
Okay.
So if I go into that, this is how I can delete cues. So if you said we wanted to delete cue 2, delete cue is an option here. I can hit that. If I wanted to copy a cue, I could do it here. If I do an edit, it's going to save it's going to update what I had previously. And this is my exit.
So now if I delete cue number 2, does it now move 3 to 2's position or is 2 just left open?
2 should be left open. Yes. So now we're in 1, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Now when you move from cue to cue, does the levers actually move or it automatically takes over?
No. So good point. These are not motorized faders. They will not change as you go. So, for example, what's up that isn't up right now? Unfortunately, everything is up there. Okay, so right now, because I'm in a cue, number 19 is at full, but the fader is down.
Right.
If I want to take control of that channel, I have to match the level that it's at, and then I can take over.
So you have to manually do it if you want to change anything other than what's in the cue.
Correct.
Okay. Does that then save automatically, or is it basically each time you'd have to go back and do it unless you saved it as a cue?
So right now, that cue still has the same data in it.
Right.
I'm not. If I went back to that cue, it would bring 19 up again.
I see. Okay.
Just FYI, this button here is color, You don't have any color changing lights, so it doesn't affect you.
Okay. Yeah, could have been nice.
For what? Well, these
Color changing lights.
lights change color.
They have, you're correct. So if you wanted to change your,
Which ones change? Oh, those.
I call it the studio lights just for reference. I don't, you know what they.
studio for now, yep, studio lights. This gives you like gel colors, pre-made colors, or you can hit this button here, and it's going to give you the rainbow effect.
Because your color wheel.
Correct. So
What if you set them at 5,000 Kelvin?
What's up, gang?
Hey,
Hello, Keith.
if I select this over here, it's going to be interesting with the different color temperature, but
Just change it a little bit.
Is that the one we're messing with?
I should be messing with all of them that are on.
They're not all on.
Correct. So if I go here, and I flip over here, yep.
Oh, it's still on the wall.
That's
So
coming
this
through
one,
there.
We have the filter off of this one because we're looking at it for being white. What you are seeing is the actual LED diodes inside there.
A little psychedelic. We
That's
found
what
a
happens-
white car.
That's what happens when you went to Hippieville. Up on the mountain with the rest of them.
Yeah,
I like that.
he and I played with it this morning. It was, a lot of them were just either on or off, and then you do a little zap on the software, and it,
The relays were clicking off a little too soon, so we weren't getting the full curve up and down. So
Are you going to paint those white or?
Randy took that one
That's-
home.
Yeah, it's over there now.
That's for that one. Two is that, I guess.
So the way that they're laid out, they are laid out on the screen. You can kind of see where they are. But the way that it works, 11, 12, 13,
okay.
14, and then in the circle 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
Um,
So that's 12.
No, they're yellow.
Right here? So that'll be 12 then, huh?
12
So
is
these are
gonna
the,
be
okay.
that guy.
I got it now. These are the lights.
Correct.
That's, okay.
I know, I
I
was
just
thinking
not
that
figured.
earlier. I was thinking
I'm like,
that.
what is he? Okay, those are the lights. All right, got you. Okay.
So the way that I did that, in case you ever want to change it, if you push and hold down on the touchscreen, it's going to bring you to this edit menu. And now what I can do is I can grab and drag and drop the numbers into different
To
places.
places where you want.
Yep.
Got you.
And to get out of the screen, it's the red button that gets people sometimes.
Right.
One other thing that we could talk about, we've already talked about cues. Another thing that we can do is what the board calls playbacks, what we normally call submasters.
Okay.
So we can, rather than these controlling channels, we can control scenes with faders. So say that I wanted to save this into a fader, I would do the same thing that I did before, record, but instead of cue, I'm going to do playback memory. And when I hit that, these are going to turn green. It's going to ask me which playback I want to record to. So say I hit number 1. That's going to save into number 1. Now to switch from channel mode into playback mode, I have to hit this button here. So if I hit that, of course I left everything on. So bring some stuff down. If I go to playback, and I bring that guy up, it's going to bring the stuff that I recorded back up.
Got you.
Run through the record again, because I want to make sure Greg understands that too from the recording. So basically, what's a record do versus then just light up? Or is that another word for that?
What does record do versus?
You're saying you're recorded, so you're setting up a recording, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what does a recording do for each one of these buses?
So if I'm recording, right now these are controlling individual channels.
Right.
So this always controls 10. If I record a playback memory into 10 and I go to playback, Then I'm going to control a scene on 10 rather
Okay.
than just the individual channel.
Okay.
And I don't want to do that because I don't want to lose my power. But if I go back to my playback, you can see that it's on right now. If I take that off, this is now a bump button. So if I hit that, it's going to turn on what I recorded as long as I hold it. As soon as I let go, it's going to turn on.
So is that more like an individual cue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Per light. Or whatever lights you put
whatever
in.
set.
Per fader. Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So these two come into play again. Again, this is the master bump fader. So if I hold that bump and I bring it down, it's going to. It's going to control up and down.
Okay.
And this is the master playback fader. So if I've got that up and I bring this down,
Okay.
it's going to bring those down. When I'm in, let me take that out. When I'm in channel mode, these become selection buttons. So if I hit 11, you can see a green box goes around what's selected there. I can bring up the levels with this wheel. So if I go there,
That brightens it and
and if I go down,
it darkens.
so
Okay.
it is dimmable.
Okay, I like that. It kind of lets you know how dim you are and
Right.
bright you are.
The clear button here in the bottom right, you've probably seen me use as our friend. So here I can clear what's on the playback, what's on the cues. I can clear what I have selected right now, individual channels, or I can just clear everything.
Okay. So probably it'll be on the channel button all the time if it's back there, I guess, huh?
Correct.
Pretty much we'll set our presets up, and that's pretty much what we'll use unless something unique comes up.
Right.
The only ones that we're still going to need some control
Why
of
would
is
I
the
need
green screen.
Why would I need playback?
If you had a look that you really, really wanted to be able to fade between, or you had two things that you wanted to be able to fade
Right.
between manually rather than with a default time like a cue, you would use that.
Okay.
You can stack playbacks, whereas a cue you're going from cue to cue to cue. If playback number 1 controls the exterior lights and playback number 2 controls what I'm calling the box lights, you can adjust those at separate levels and they'll still all be there rather than one taking over for the other.
Okay.
Okay, I got you.
I always forget to mention this at the beginning. This button up here at the top left is the help button. So if I push that button one time, it's going to tell me that I can push any button and it's going to give me information about that button. So if I were to hit that and I were to hit cue list, it's going to give me a menu about the cue list. It's going to try to explain that to me, if that
Okay.
makes sense. If I push and hold the help button, it's going to take me to this menu, which is the primary help menu. And if I go to tutorials, this is a series of videos that helps you try to learn the console better. It's worth mentioning there's a new video tutorial series online for this console. It's available on YouTube. It's also available on ETC's website. That's etcconnect.com.
Okay.
They're really great resources. I'll be leaving you some business cards today. Obviously, you can call us when you have problems. We're pretty good at troubleshooting these things. That is the majority of everything. Questions?
I mean, at a real high level, one thing, and maybe you covered this already, but I thought that 1 through 8 was scenes and 9 would be everything. 1 through 9 is 9 scenes, and that's all that black box will do. And then whenever you plug that into the black box to the left, it becomes number 10, let's call it, and trumps everything. Then that is running it, and it's not one of the presets. Once, you know, and we're not really expecting you guys to, you know, plug that in and get into all this different stuff about, I mean, we're pushing cars through, right? You know, and we have to keep in mind that we're going to be better than 99.9% of the dealerships if we just use those 9 scenes. But in order to get them set right and to play with them, obviously you need to plug it in to make scene 1 and to make scene 2. And so anyway, when we do plug it in, push all those things up, and the room's at 100%. And then if we start to kind of turn this off and tone that down, and what about this, and what if we turn all those off and raise the blue real high, boy, that's a cool look. Obviously you can have some fun with it, but it's not meant like the next car pulls in and we're trying to really make the red one look cool, and then the next car pulls in and we're jacking around with that thing can be locked back in the IT closet for all I care.
Probably set for cars and set some ones for trucks.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be low, medium, high. There'll be certainly the one that just turns the blue lights off so you can zap the white out and do the, you know, kind of the app that places the car in their driveway.
Okay.
There'll be one that goes to 100% above and maybe nothing on the outside to create a noon, high noon kind of shadowy feel like that one white Traverse had.
So the creases.
So I wish, you know, this 96 feet of perfect white exposed, you know, is supposed to be here today if it's not already here, but they just don't have it installed yet. Can you fire those up? I mean, to me, those 3 back there, there's big hot spots on the box where they're clearly hitting the box, the aluminum box. And can you make those more like 5,000 Kelvin?
Which ones?
Probably all of them. The 3 in the back particularly. We kind of want those 3 to kind of shining through a window of the cars while they're back there. So when you're filming the car in the front here, you can see more details and, you know, the seat colors, etc. They're too high. I told them that. I want them every one of them to break the plane to the bottom of the box. That way we had total deductibility.
We're shooting right here.
They're just too high.
Where's that heading? Right here. I mean, you know, you got a picture of a car that's pretty wide, and they want it going in the window of the car, so that's not far off. That has no shadow hitting the box. Should go up a little bit.
I'm going to be the face of that car. Proud.
Yeah, maybe we, just to play around with this, I'll get them to move that, and I'm going to pull my Traverse in here so we can see some different effects on it.
Yeah, I thought that
This is going to be a good one. I don't get into this very often. You guys get into it a lot more than I do.
So you have to hit the little button to turn it on to then have the slide affect it in case you bump the slide.
What I just did was I just selected the fixtures. If I moved the faders up and down, that still would have controlled intensity. But for what I'm about to do, I want to have those fixtures selected. If I go to this controls button and I go to parameter, so this is going to give me things that have to do with specific functions of the light. I have a color temperature option here. And if I get it to play nice.
So we got 5,000 in here.
So if I hit 5K right there,
There you go.
Oh, the white light.
That does all of them at one time, correct?
because I had all of them selected.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Great.
And that's the light that we want, that we're wanting.
Yeah, I mean, like these 2 lights, John just said, are those okay? No. I mean, why would we do all this and have 2 8-foots, even though they're not on the car? Those are 4,000, which look white in a room that doesn't have 5,000. But with 5,000, that looks like a dirty lens from 8 years ago. I mean, it just looks yellowed out.
Yeah, definitely.
So the Fresnels looked yellowed out to me when we came in, but 5,000 is good. Now, you know, would there be a car that we ever would go up to 6,300, which is as high as it gets? That gets a little blue, right? I mean,
That is a question for you guys.
yeah, if you hit 6,300, you'll, I don't know if RI will be able to pick it up, but
I see those. Did it change blue?
Yeah, I feel like it did
Yeah.
a little bit.
so anyway, I think what Chevrolet told us for their brochures is everything in the room's 5,000. So
What if that's just mislabeled?
you can let's see, the green wall was what number this morning when we were playing with it? I think it was that 17.
17. Oops.
Maybe just move whatever makes the green wall go up and down.
Oh, you just want to control the green one. I'm sorry.
So put it like at half, and you know, see, I would imagine we'd want it all the way bright, but
So
maybe you
that's
don't.
half.
So that everything in the room, which then we're also going to have a control for these two 4-footers. There'll be a 4-footer at an angle like this, and a 4-footer like an angle like this. And that's where the professor said that one is designed. See how there's no shadow on there? So if I'm sitting there talking about 3 great reasons to buy them, you know. That might be at 90% going across my face. That might be at 25% coming this way, so then there's a shadow this way, and that just looks better when you put me in front of the car. So that's why the blue lights over here. And then when you guys are ready, so that height is 100%. No. 2 more lights. Oh. These 2 lights right here. Oh. That's a 4-foot version of that 8-foot version, and there's 2 of those. And then when you are shooting videos, you flip this light switch. Which turns on the 5 on-air signs and turns off these. They just got them on a reverse crank, you know. We're probably going to use some of the strip that was up here, might go underneath when this counter comes. We might run LED underneath there to just give task lighting that doesn't compete with the car. So Bruning's going to be pulling around here.
Those 2 lights, are they on with that switch?
Are those you off?
Which 2? I'm sorry.
Well, you got this one on, that one, those 2 on, the rest of them are on.
Correct. So, did I lose power? Hold on, let me see what I got. So, I only have that guy, I don't have that guy, I don't. Yeah, I would say the electricians have turned off my power.
Okay.
Who has? The electric.
Kings. That guy doesn't have control yet. Sorry we didn't do this earlier. If I can get people to sign in.
Sure.
Training.
Go. Did you flip it? Can you back some of the stuff down to like 70, 60%?
Sure. Is it? Are they messing with that breaker now?
The back lights. Good, huh? 100% to see what they do inside the car.
Hold on.
Put that camera on. Huh?
No, I got it's not on.
It's hooked into this computer. Right there.
Well, the camera's not even up there.
Right, I get that too.
Helps.
Did you guys know there's no camera up there?
Yeah, they took it down.
On this TV.
Are they messing with that breaker right now?
No way. No way. Is this 100 amp breaker?
Yeah.
No.
60, only got 60 in there.
Really? Is that okay?
No, they're supposed to be swapping it out.
Oh, I told them 100. We fought that whole time.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Something's going goofy though. You messing with something? No. You thought you were messing with the main breaker, but that isn't the case.
Well, the one,
So it's good.
turned off, the one breaker was turned off.
When we were playing with it, maybe we turned it off, or you had it on because that circuit's on.
If I go over a certain percentage, I start getting a strobe effect.
There's no way we got an
There's
exit
probably not, well, probably what it is. Well, no, if that was the case, it tripped the whole thing.
Right.
I'd say what it is,
You're all. I will be
well, it'll trip the breaker.
I mean, I can't get a single.
I'd say what it is for these lights, there's one more amps than what that breaker is rated for, which means they would probably will have to run some circuits for that.
Turn that back down again a second.
2 circuits for what?
The Fresno.
Okay. you can go
No, we can put the Fresnels on 100% on off switch, hopefully.
Yeah, but it'll still have to be 2 circuits.
Yeah, but if we
They
take them
together.
off this load, maybe that's going to help you out. If we put them on a hot circuit, I don't even want to use this box. I'll use whatever we got close here, right? Whatever was for this room originally.
Right, but it'll still have to be 2 circuits. Because those are rated for 12
Sorry.
and a half amps.
I
Okay,
think,
well that's yeah.
I think that was my fault. All right,
I
much
would
better.
say there's no way we're using 60 amps.
No, that I'm sorry. I had the ELV in between somehow. That was my fault.
No,
ELV.
like triangle voltage.
It controls the plug boxes that these are plugged into. Remember, well, you might not have been here. It's important that 1 and 2 are always up on the console when it's controlled to make sure that those are
So
on.
is everything working properly?
So now I think I've got it all.
Absolutely. Yes, that's just temporary, just so we can have another.
Right, thank you.
So that guy is number 2. I'm gonna take it out. All right, what can we do?
Are those 3 back ones at 100% then?
Yes, all of the Fresnels are at 100% right now.
So what would you say that that's hitting the right spot inside there?
I mean, I can see the dashboard lit for this first one. Obviously, you can tell the difference whether it was on or off. The tinted windows cause a whole different problem.
Oh,
But I can't see doing it. We could turn just the middle one off that he's on right now,
sure.
and the camera will look better at it. But
Did that go back on or did that go off?
you turn
I
it off.
turned it off. Sorry. I've got a little more punch that I can get out of these top lights if you want.
Do what?
What do you have those on?
So those are only at about 50 right now.
Yeah, it's more so we're trying to get like
I mean, that can go up to that.
inside the car.
But it's okay to put the top at 100. We're just trying to.
Well, that's only primary